In this week's IoT Radar, my guest is Johan Kraft. He is the CEO and founder of Percepio. And Percepio is the company that develops Tracealyzer and DevAlert, two programs you will need to analyze the real-time operating system of your IoT device. We have news on PineTime, which is an open source smartwatch. We have news on how to personalize a chatbot, and we have small cartoon. I hope you will enjoy watching the IoT Radar. Good morning, Johan Kraft, CEO and founder of Percepio. Good morning, how are you today?
Good morning, I'm just fine.
Johan, we are going to talk about one of your products, which is called Tracealyzer. And from your website, I understand that there's a product to trace and analyze IoT devices, etc. But I'd like to first get to the first question, of course. What exactly is software tracing? What is it, and why is it important in IoT?
Yeah, software tracing is about recording important events in runtime. But we prefer to use the term visual trace diagnostics to describe what we do, because software tracing, that's only, that's important of course, but that's the data collection. What's at least as important is what you do with the data and what conclusions you can draw from it, what kind of insights you can reach. So our focus has always been to make trace data more useful by clever visualizations that give you overview and allow you to understand the data in a better way. Yeah.
So you're looking at the data of the IoT devices. Now, there's a lot of data going around in IoT devices. Is it actually the data coming from sensors, or is it the processed data coming from IoT devices?
We focus on operating system level behavior, basically things like kernel scheduling, API calls, and things that are important for debugging and verifying the IoT software. So the goal of this is to help IoT software developers to verify, debug, and optimize their solutions. And if you compare this to a traditional debugger, they tend to focus on the current system state right now, the values of registers and variables at the current state. But sometimes it's not possible to halt the system for debugging and single stepping. You might have real-time protocols that time out, or you might not be able to access a debugger. And also the complexity of IoT software means that it's really important to get a timeline of these software events, so you can really understand why and how you reach this system state, and better understand how the software really works and what's right and what's wrong.
If you're looking at real lifetime events that happening, is that a big issue in IoT development?
Yeah, I think it's an issue that more and more people are recognizing as the complexity of IoT software grows. And we're coming from kind of classic embedded systems, real-time operating systems and embedded Linux. When you add IoT protocols, you get additional complexity and a lot of event-triggered behavior and things like that. And you also get increased concerns with things like energy efficiency. You want to make sure that the system goes down to sleep when it's supposed to, and things like that. And with that, you need better tools for software diagnostics, and that's what we try to provide.
Yeah, and that's also your product, which is called Tracealyzer.
Yes.
This product has been developed by you, your own company?
Yes, I am the original inventor, author, developer of this product like 15 years ago, and actually it's more anyway. Then I started a company around it, and now we are about 10 people. We have a bit over 600 customers globally on Tracealyzer, and it's used for, well, wherever you have a real-time or a multitasking operating system of some kind, from fighter jets to toys, basically. It spans the whole range. Wherever you have some kind of software complexity with multi-threading and you want to make sure that things work the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, and that was one of my other questions. For what hardware platforms are we looking at here? Is it specifically for Linux-based real-time operating systems, or are there other operating systems also working with that, or does it require a specific hardware platform?
Well, we try to be as broad as possible. The core of Tracealyzer has no assumptions on any particular processor architecture or debug port or anything like that. It's based on since we're not tracing individual instructions and processor level stuff, we can relatively easily make adaptations for different real-time operating systems. We support about a dozen different platforms at the moment. It's not as it's not very dependent on what processor you're using. At the moment, the kernel or RTOS is the main kind of integration point. But we are also exploring different directions, looking into processor level tracing, for instance, by leveraging existing trace emulators and things like that. But most of our customers are today on FreeRTOS with software-based tracing, typically with ARM devices.
So what can we expect for the coming year from Tracealyzer and from Percepio? What is on your agenda? What do you think it's really necessary to move in this direction with Tracealyzer, of course, but also in response of what is happening in the IoT market?
Our big thing right now is a new offering called DevAlert, which is related to Tracealyzer. And Percepio DevAlert is about monitoring deployed IoT devices. Say that you have missed a bug in the testing, or if there is a use case you never considered, then that may appear for real users out in the field. With DevAlert, developers can prepare for this and get a report back with a trace recording that they can view in Tracealyzer. So DevAlert is a solution for remote diagnostics and alerting from deployed devices. You can also use it in testing, of course, and catch things earlier.
Yeah.
But the nice thing with tracing is that it's not interactive. It's kind of something that runs in the background, and you get a chunk of data back. And that can be transmitted over the default, the existing IoT interface. So you can get data back to the developers and analyze how the software really behaved in reality.
The PineTime is an open source smartwatch. It has all the specifications you might expect from a smartwatch, and it can even show you the time. It is open source, and that is the fun part of this watch. It will allow you to control every aspect of the watch, do your own programming and make special applications, like changing to a 20-hour day if 24 hours is too much for you. Microsoft filed a patent that will make it possible to personalize your own chatbot. That means your smart speaker will be loaded with pictures and quotes of your cat or pet, your friend, your ex or loved one, even if they are dead. How spooky is that?